Hello, Bob Ford.
Hello, Bob.
Hey, Fred. Hey, Sandra. Thanks for having us over this afternoon to talk about how you do your yard for birds and bird feeding.
Okay, well, it's one of our most favorite things to do, so we are glad you are here with us this afternoon. And before we begin the tour, I want to introduce you to our most famous permanent peacock here at Two Woods Creek. Bright and colorful. And you know what? He's the easiest bird to feed. All right.
I bet.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. Just requires fresh water. All right. Well, let's walk around.
Yeah, let's take a look at your hummingbird feeders first.
All right. We're in the backyard. We feed birds, front yard, backyard, kind of the side yard.
Now, you have hummingbirds every year, right?
Absolutely. I've kept a journal for 5 years, maybe 6, and they appear anywhere from April 4th, which was when I saw the first one this year, and normally they've come around the 7th or the 8th, but this year he showed his face early, and then he left. And he didn't come back for about 2 weeks, and I was really nervous because my neighbors down the street, they had their hummingbirds. But anyway, this is one of 3 hummingbird feeders that we have. All these are locally bought from Walmart here in Brownsville, and I think they're really easy to do. The main thing, I think it's really important that you keep your hummingbird feeders clean, and I change the water, or Fred and I change the water. Really, when it gets warm, I would say every 5 days. Once you see it's a little murky, you need to change it. And we do our own feeding. I mean, we do make our own feed, syrup, and it's 4 parts water to 1 part sugar. But come fall, when they're getting ready to go on their long migration back south, I change it to 3 parts water to 1 part sugar, so they have a little more energy.
Nice. And like you said, this is easy to do. Pretty much no matter where you live, you can attract hummingbirds, especially in migration. And the feeders themselves are easy to find. It's important that they have red or yellow or a color that attracts butterflies. Attracts hummingbirds.
Well, they do attract butterflies.
They do attract butterflies.
So
you're right.
You'll see a butterfly fluttering around, and
As well as ants and bees.
yes,
Yeah, that's true.
that's another reason it's important to keep them cleaned out if you have an ant problem. Even though I think last year someone was talking about hummingbirds, and he said, it's okay if they eat those ants, that just means more protein for them. So
That
who
works.
knows?
We have seen the hummingbird in the last couple of days, so
He's
the
back.
scout is around. He's
He's
here.
back.
Yeah.
It's also, I think, important to have lots of flowers. Hummingbirds are certainly attracted, to the flowers. So you have to have the food and then flowers. So here's one hummingbird feeder.
I wanted to mention the flowers too, because that's a good idea. If you do have the space and the opportunity, to put those bright red flowers like that next to your feeder, the
Right.
hummingbirds really cue in on that bright color,
Right.
and then they go to the plant to nectar, or to your feeder to nectar. And you can actually put it fairly close to where you like to sit
Yes.
and watch them all summer
Right.
long.
Well, this is close to our patio. Now in the front, it's right at our kitchen window, so we can really see those, more easily. But if
Yeah.
I'm on the patio, I see them going back and forth. And another interesting feeder is the one that you can attach to a window with a suction cup. And my sister and brother-in-law in South Carolina have that. And it's just, when we're there, it's just constantly busy. For us, it was an ant.
An ant attractor.
Oh, right.
On the window, so
That's right.
we decided just to go with these on the poles.
I also want to notice that you don't use any red dye. A lot of people thinks that helps attract them.
I do not think that attracts them. I am very opposed to red dye of any, in anything. I taught school for a long time, and I could always tell the children that drank red cheese. It just seems to. Anyway, I learned from a very good source that you do not have to put the dye. If you have the red on the feeder, or yellow or white, they'll be attractive.
That's right. It's a myth. The red
myth.
dye, like you say, is actually bad for hummingbirds. So
Okay. Well, there
as you
go.
make that mix up, don't worry about the red dye. If you happen to buy a mix in a store, don't buy the mix that has the red dye. It's
And
not
another-
needed, and it can cause harm for the bird.
Yes.
Yeah.
And another thing, you don't have to boil the water. I've been told that, and I've done this for years, I just put water out of the tap, put the sugar, stir, and you're ready to go. And I keep it mixed up in a gallon milk container. So
Oh,
it's
nice.
always in the refrigerator ready to go.
Right, right.
So they're the easiest, most birds are easy to feed, but certainly hummingbirds, and for the pleasure they bring,
Right.
sugar and water, there you go.
Right. Fred, does that ever cause any confusion in the refrigerator? A jug of.
It almost did yesterday.
It does at our house. I know that. We have to mark it with big letters. Hummingbirds only.
Yeah, well, I'm fortunate to have two refrigerators, so I try to remember to keep it in the one outside so he can drink it. So,
I'm sure it wouldn't hurt. Might help.
Well, Sandra, just outside of your patio here, let's see if I can zoom in on it. But you have the traditional feeders,
Right.
the ones that hold seed.
yes, and we just use the black sunflower seed. Occasionally, I'll buy some finch food, something that says particularly designed or developed for finches. We have a cylinder feeder and just different feeders here. I hope maybe you can notice, or maybe we should walk out there, the yellow bench.
Yeah, let's walk out there in just a minute.
Okay,
But
'cause it
these,
is-
I wanted to hear though what kind of birds you've been seeing at these. Well, I call them traditional feeders. They're
Right.
with sunflower seed, and birds fly up to them. And again, easily found in store in town. Most
Oh, yeah.
stores have something like that, and
Here
a
in
wide
Brownsville.
variety of food. But I too like just the black oil sunflower seeds, real basic.
Well, I really guess I've got my love of birds from my mother, and that's what she used, black sunflower seeds. Now I do in the winter time, we will put out, what is it? Suet. We have some suet feeders.
Oh yeah, that's good.
And of course that really attracts the woodpeckers. I'm sure it attracts others, but I know it's supposed to bring in the woodpeckers. And around our home we have downies, we have hairy woodpeckers, we have red-bellied woodpeckers, we have sapsuckers, yellow-bellied sapsuckers, northern flickers, sort of in the same
Nice.
family.
And you've had some migrants. This is the day before Earth Day, April
Yes.
21st. You've already had some migrants at your feeders too, right?
Yeah, what have we had?
We've had a grosbeak.
What
What's a
kind?
grosbeak?
What kind? I'm always
You-
testing them.
That's it.
Red,
I'm not the brother.
red,
Red belly.
red-breasted.
Red-breasted.
Red-breasted
Red-breasted
grosbeak.
Yeah.
And we've
Alright.
noticed that he comes the same time.
Same time every morning, about 7 o'clock on the feeder.
Yeah,
Feeds for about 5 minutes and then leaves.
right,
So he's satisfied, and we can't have a hard time getting a photo of him.
right.
What other migrants? We have a parula somewhere around. Sandra knows the sound, and so it's here, but we haven't seen it.
Right?
What else? What other migrants?
Oh my goodness! Now we had something. Maybe I'm getting.
Purple finches, are they
We've
migrants?
had.
Yeah,
purple
just here in the winter,
finches,
right.
Yes.
Right.
We have house finches, purple finches.
Yeah.
We'll have gold finches.
Some white-throated sparrows around, I've heard.
White-throated sparrows. Of course, we have the gorgeous cardinals and the blue jays. And I'm really beginning to appreciate blue jays more and more. Their colors are just dynamic. let's see, we have 2 years ago we had a Cooper's hawk to build a nest in our front yard, and they had their little babies, and that was a lot of fun. Of course, we have wrens, robins. We've had another
Bluebird.
Bluebirds.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What's the other migrant?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Well, the hummingbirds are migrants, of
Yeah.
Well,
course.
hummingbirds, yes.
Yeah. Well, let's walk. You mind if we walk out and take a
No.
look at this other feeder? I'll keep videoing and we can talk some along the way. One of the important aspects, if you have a lawn like this, is to provide just what you all have provided, right? And I know you did it intentionally. It's food, cover, and water.
Yes.
Folks may have heard the running water behind us that came on while we were talking. That's water in bird baths is important. Running water like that will actually attract migrants as they move through. You know, they can hear the water and come to it much more readily.
And I haven't seen a migrant at the fountain, but I'm sure it like you said, it encourages them to come this way. But I have seen a wren, and I've seen, the sparrows actually dipping their little noses into the fountain. We have that running fountain, and then we have 2 bird baths located in the yard.
What you'll notice is we're blessed with, or sometimes not blessed with, a lot of trees. We're at the end of a street, across a creek, and at the back of a field, at the front of the field, and so we're fairly well isolated back here.
Yeah, right. I meant to, a lot of trees though are sometimes mean lots of squirrels.
Oh,
Do you ever get squirrels at your feet?
we get everybody squirrels. Our neighbors don't like squirrels, so they send them over here,
They say Fred Silverstein
Can you-
loves squirrels.
and we
so
feed
they-
them.
So you can tell which ones are your neighbor's squirrels and
Oh
which
yeah,
ones
we
are
know the
yeah,
migrants from the everyday neighborhood squirrels. Yeah.
yeah.
But we have figured out, well, in the front we have a feeder, maybe we can see it, that has a baffle. And the baffle, I finally learned to set that feeder away from the wall, so the squirrels are now deterred from that feeder. They cannot jump far enough to land on the feeder. That's been really fun to watch them try. So this
Yeah,
is
I have
our
a,
newest- I'm sorry.
I have a feeder. I've had it for years. I meant to look up the name before I came over here. Actually, it's probably a Yankee droll. I'm not real sure, but it's weighted so that when a bird sits on the perch to get sunflower seeds, it's not heavy enough to push the feeder down, but a squirrel is heavy enough so that it pushes the bottom of the feeder down and covers up the hole where they can get sunflower seeds. So, the birds can be successful and the squirrels realize real fast they're not successful. So
I know
it's
you
one of the
told
more.
me about that.
I've had
We're
it for
going to have
years.
to look into it. The newest feeder that we have in our yard this year is an Oriole feeder, and it's called a platform feeder. We were birding the other day with you and your family out at O'Neill, and we saw an orchard Oriole. And then I remembered when we were birding in Central Park, that was the first time I saw an Oriole. So I looked up what to feed them, anything specific, because I remembered in New York that they had oranges hanging from a tree. So that's what Orioles love, are sliced oranges. So we have sliced oranges, and then we have what I like to call a glunk of grape jelly. It rained last night, so it's,
Yeah.
but I
Well-
read that makes like a nectar.
Oh.
And so they say that's fine, that they like that nectar.
All right. Well, so is that 1 glunk or 2 glunks or 3 glunks?
It's 3 glunks.
3 glunks.
I know you love that word. It's 2 glunks over here and 1 glunk
Does
over
that
there.
refer to the actual size or the sound when it hits the
It's
feeder?
the sound.
Oh, okay.
It's
Got
the
it.
sound.
Glunk. Yeah.
And
So if
this
it goes
is,
glank, it's probably not enough.
right.
Okay.
No
got it.
glunks. You gotta have glunks. And
You
have
got
to
that,
have
Fred?
grape jelly.
I got it.
You the
yeah.
glunk
Finger
expert?
rock. I don't know the glunk, so she does it.
But you're gonna learn. You're gonna learn. But anyway, I'm really excited, and I think you said
We think we've seen one.
And what color was the tail?
Black and long.
And so what does that mean?
We think we saw an orchard Oriole.
All right,
Okay.
all right, nice, very
So
nice.
we're learning this together. Of course, Fred
Yeah.
is a big duck hunter, so he loves birds and nature. So we're a
Yeah.
good pair.
I'm mainly the Sherpa.
Okay, I hope you can hear the birds in the background. I've just been watching 3 little wrens play up and down a tree.
Right.
Also, at the back of our property, facing, sometimes it's a cotton field, sometimes it's a soybean field, we have a bluebird house.
Oh, well, let's go take a look. You want?
Okay, so now we're at the back of the house, and we have a bluebird box. And it faces west, right onto an open field, which is what you will always read. That's what bluebirds want, a big open field. But I will tell you that I have a friend who has a house at Pickwick, and on her deck, on her table, she sent me a picture 2 years ago, and she said, "What is this?" And I said, "It looks like a bluebird." And they were building a nest right on the table where she eats outside. So go figure. But
Right.
this is ours. I think we've had it how many years?
5 or 6.
And only 1 year did we not have a bluebird nest. So I hadn't even checked. I'll gently open it. And I like the kind that you open from the top. Nothing yet, but I don't
They'll be
despair. They will come.
Right.
My neighbor, 100 yards down, has his bluebird box, and he has a nest right now. So
We've seen the bluebirds.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, they'll find it.
again, you'll read, they'll say, you need to put mealyworms and all these things to encourage the bluebirds to come, and I did that 1 year. I honestly think that was the year I didn't get anything. Not positive.
Right.
But all I do is just once the nest is made and the babies hatch and they're gone, I clean the box out really, really well. Now the problem with the bluebird box is that sparrows also like to use this box. So if you see a sparrow hanging around, before they lay their eggs, you need to get that nest out.
Yeah.
And I've had to take out 3 nests. You have to be vigilant.
And those are house sparrows, which
House sparrows.
they're not native to the United States. Some people
old
don't
world
realize that.
sparrows?
That's it. They actually came over on sailing ships when sailing ships had cows and horses on them to bring to the New World, United States. And the grain that they fed the horses, especially the sparrows, could live on, and made it all the way across the ocean on those ships, and now we have them here.
And they had the big black throat.
Right.
And once when I had seen them, and I looked in my book, my bird book, I couldn't find them, and I thought, gosh, why can't I find this sparrow? And I flipped the page, and there's a section for old world sparrows.
That's it.
Something else, I forgot what it was, and then it was a house sparrow.
Right. Well, thinking of that, there are some other birds that are interesting that are native to this part of Tennessee that would use these boxes. Sometimes Carolina chickadees can use these boxes, or tufted titmice.
Well, we have those here in Birdland.
Yeah, and at the other places where there's some water, tree swallows will actually use these boxes as well.
Oh,
A
okay.
little bit, not quite as commonly, but they certainly will.
I don't
Yeah.
think I've seen a tree swallow around here.
Yeah, they usually like a body of water pretty close.
Yeah.
I mean, a broad, flat body of water like a lake, not a little creek or anything.
We did see one at O'Neill the other day. It was absolutely gorgeous.
All right. Well, good luck with your box there, Fred and
Yeah,
Sandra. I
I'll
bet you'll
keep
get
you
something.
posted,
All right.
for sure. Okay.
Thanks.